Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. This is RHJunior coming live to you over the interwebs for spleen squeezings. I'm not going to be on for very long. I'm not going to be on for very long at all. Not at all. Because we're right in the middle of a nasty cold snap. Blizzard, cold snap, whatever you want to call it. It's a mess. And right now, I've been in a multiple day fight just to stay warm. I'm not lying. Drain on my bathtub is frozen. Clogged, probably frozen. And the usual home heating is I've basically had to live in this little plastic tent I've got around my computer desk for the past 2 nights, and I haven't actually laid down. I haven't been able to prop up my feet like I need to because of my swollen legs. And I've not been able to lie down and properly sleep. I just had to pass out in my chair, and I'm feeling kind of wrecked. I've been trying to get stuff done, but it's been slow going. I've got nobody watching at the moment, which isn't surprising. I can't lie down in my bedroom. I can't. It's ice cold in there. So like I said before, the heater I have is a 220 heater, and the only 220 outlet I have is well, in the laundry room for the washing machine, and in my living room for I have no reason to, for the air conditioner. So I've got to stay in here in the living room. I may just kick the chair out of the way and try and lie. I'm tempted to kick my chair out of the way and lie down on the floor, but I'm scared I won't be able to get back up. Yeah. kind of a rough everything right now. Bad time to start a broadcast, really. I haven't got much to be entertaining with. Uh, I think I've just logged on just basically to let everybody know I'm still alive. I will be back in a minute. Well, in a couple of minutes. Enjoy the random North American flute sounds. Be right back.
You
And I'm back again. Hello, I'm back again. Yeah. I don't know how much I'm gonna get done today. It's another cold snap here. We had snow all weekend, and it's pretty deep out there right now, and got it off the roads and stuff, thank God. But let's see, it has been dipping down into the teens in temperatures, and like I've told you before, it's 18 degrees right now, and it's supposed to get down to 12 tonight. And they're predicting, like, let's see, uh, I am tempted to bundle it. Oh God, it's supposed to get down to 9 degrees tomorrow night. We're supposed to get more snow tomorrow. I always understood that it couldn't snow if it got too cold, but this is insane. Let's see, it's going to be down to 9 degrees tomorrow night. It's down to 12. It's plunging down to 12 degrees tonight. It's supposed to get down to 9 degrees tomorrow night. 4 degrees Saturday night. Dang it, I meant to get something to drink. Forgot to do that. I gotta do that. dried out, dehydrated. That's the dangerous thing about the cold. You don't notice as much when you're thirsty. You can dehydrate very easily. Uh, I am sorely tempted. I've only got a few bucks left in the. I am so tempted to just leave and check into a hotel over the weekend if I can find one that'll get a 50. It would take every dime I had. Just log into we got hotels all over the place around here, hotel motels. Just go there and bundle up and wait this cold snap out. It's not going to get up to bearable temperatures until like Monday. And we are supposed to get precipitation from now until let's see. It's supposed to get up to the 40s on Monday. Tuesday. It's supposed to keep. We're supposed to get. 50% chance. Let's see. It's a 50% chance tomorrow, 20% Saturday, 10% Sunday. Monday goes back up to 90%. Then Tuesday 90%, Wednesday 50%, Thursday, Friday. It's basically supposed to rain rain and snow all this coming week. But in the meanwhile, we're supposed to freeze our unmentionables completely off. It's going to be cold enough over this weekend to freeze the knobs off a brass monkey. Can you hear me out there? It's going to be cold enough over this weekend to freeze the knobs off a brass monkey. I'm going to try and get some stuff. I'm going to try and do at least a little work on the artwork. This sucks. Stay in school, kids. I think that's the only reason God keeps me alive. It's a bad example. So you can, just so that other people can drag down and say, see what happens when you don't prepare. See what happens when you aren't diligent, when you don't make preparations early in life for when you're older. Kind of in pain right now. Like I said, I have had no choice but to huddle up around my computers. I've got an electric heater. It's 220 electric heater. It's meant for heating garages, but it's not enough to heat this trailer, this mobile home. It's a 220 electric heater, and got a and the outlet for it is in the living room. So I've basically thrown a plastic tent over my computer area, and let the heater blow into that. And I'm sitting, I have to huddle under this tent to stay warm. The rest of the house is like a walk-in cooler. My pipes haven't frozen, thank God, but well, actually, the drain on my bathtub seems to either have clogged or frozen. I don't know which. So that sort of eliminates the chance to shower till I can get it unclogged. And yeah, it's just been a bundle of fun. I've been trying to I've been closing off areas I'm not using, and I've got a little electric heater, a little plug in the wall electric heater, keeping the bathroom warm. Tolerable anyway. It's what can I say? Can I what good would I say? I could say, prepare for the future. Save up and save your money, stay in school, get a good job, etc., etc., etc. And I'm wondering how useful that advice really is. Because, well, first of all, think about it. Nobody is really prepared for the future. Nobody is. Nobody is. Nobody can be. You can make some precautionary measures, but how many people have thought? How many people out there thought they were preparing for the future, only to have all the preparations they had turn out to be not work out? I mean, back in the Great Depression, I mean, there were people that they had people asked, why didn't you save anything for a rainy day? They did. The banks collapsed. The entire nation imploded. Uh, we're not only brewing up for a new one, we've got people in office right now that are doing their damnedest to make it happen as soon as possible. Because they figure a broken nation is easier to be king of. Anyway, I'm rambling here. Uh, I mean, I don't know what advice I could give anybody to avoid. Just you don't want to end up like me, and I really don't have reliable advice. I don't really have any novel, reliable advice on how to avoid that. I mean, we're living in a nation where we got people who graduated in STEM fields or flipping burgers and serving drinks in bars. Architecture is a STEM. Well, it's not exactly a STEM field, but it's an engineering related field. I would think that it's somewhere in that general I don't know anything about architecture. I don't know what knowledge is required, what learning, what actual hard sciences or maths are needed for architecture. I was just thinking. I remember hearing about architect. Guy had a doctorate. Guy had what's the next step up from a bachelor's degree? He had a degree in architecture, and the only work he could get was serving drinks at a bar. And I'm like crap. And you know what's going to happen is everybody's going to listen to that advice. Get in the STEM fields, get in the STEM fields, get in the STEM. They'll get in the STEM fields, and they'll get all these degrees, and then they'll come out and they won't be able to make crap money because the field will be flooded with people with STEM field degrees from India. or in India. You know, it's cruel, brutal reality of life. You're not going to be able to compete with somebody who's willing to work for half the amount that you think you need to simply exist. Boast not thyself. All I can say is, you know, I can only pass on the advice that I need to follow more myself. Is that trust in God with all your heart and don't lean on your own understanding. I love the parent. I love the contradiction that I had to live with when my parents raised me. On Sunday it was boast not thyself of tomorrow, and on Monday it was why haven't you planned for the future? uh, I think I'm basically a case study in somebody who is ill prepared to be an adult. I was ill prepared to be an adult. I was ill prepared uh, to plan ahead. I don't plan ahead. I don't. I didn't plan ahead. I didn't apply myself where I needed to. I'm not diligent. I'm, uh, and by the time I was 18, I wasn't prepared to be an adult. My parents, they did their level best, but uh, I did not mature. And maybe that's just me thinking. Maybe that's just me thinking that if I'd have just been better prepared, if I'd have known this, if I'd have done that, if I'd have, if. Now, what if that's the terrible truth? Is that you can't. That's like kind of life's cruel joke is that you learn the lesson after you've taken the test. It's sorry gets you down. Sorry gets you down a lot. Gets me down a lot. I wanna. Oh, I just. Ouch. Knowing that you could have done better doesn't help. You know, I got into the habit years ago. Trying, have you ever done this? Have you ever stood in the mirror and just tried to talk yourself into being more mature, and being more responsible, and to, have you ever tried to just scold yourself into doing all the things that you needed to do? And I've done that. Yeah, I've stood in the mirror. Just get up early in the morning. Start working. Start doing this. Start doing. Why aren't you doing this? And I've found that that doesn't work on me. I can sustain that motivation for a little while, and it drains away. And this is the one thing I pray for. The one thing I pray for over and over again. It's willpower, self control. That quote by Calvin Coolidge keeps coming back to mind. I was, uh, you know, you know, talent means nothing. Uh, Even an education means nothing. Talent means nothing. Education means nothing. Uh, it's perseverance, determination, willpower alone. the refusal to give up. And I have absolutely no willpower at all. It's like waking up one morning and realizing that you were born without a vital internal organ. I don't, I tend to flex a lot. I tend to mope a lot on this show. Well, frankly, because it's a psychological outlet for me. It really is. It really, really is. I've always had a bad streak of quitter in me. I mean, all the way back to when I was in, I still remember vividly. I like kindergarten. They were teaching us how to tie our shoes. They gave us these cards with shoelaces laced through them. And I got so frustrated. I kept trying, and I couldn't get it right. I just quit. I just wouldn't try. And I just, bawled my eyes out, just a little guy, and a teacher was like, "Oh, don't be a quitter. Come on, come on, come on." And it made no sense. It wasn't, I obviously learned to tie my shoelaces, but it only happened when my mother, she sat down and put a shoe on my foot and then showed me, the over, under, loop around and through and everything. And once I understood it, I felt bad that I had given up so easily. There was just something about it, something about trying to tie the shoes on that cardboard. It was a little cardboard uh, square with a shoe drawn on it, with the shoelaces laced through the holes on the card. And for some reason, they showed us the instruction, everything, and it just did not click for me. I had to have my mom put a shoe on my own foot, and she stood behind me and laced it up, where I was standing, and I clicked, ta-da! I got it, I get it, something about it, but learning to tie my shoe, learning to ride a bike. I I was constantly looking for it was difficult. It was miserable. I was looking for any possible reason. But my mother decided that I should learn to ride my bicycle in the backyard. Our lumpy, unmowed, could I mean, have you ever tried to roll a bike on soft dirt? It went about as well as you expect. It wasn't until like a year later when we had moved to another neighborhood and I finally rode that stupid bike from one side of the lot to the other on hard packed uh, grass. That there it was. I never learned what the difference was, between doing it, I, I wish I could quantify what it was as a difference, between being frustrated and giving up, and what the difference the time the first time when I was frustrated, quitted, and just wanted to give up and quit, and I quit, and the next time when it all came together. I wish I knew what the difference was. Why one time, why it was at one time I couldn't learn, and I couldn't. Uh, why one time I couldn't learn. I had no just no uh, willpower and determination at all. And the next time, uh, I managed to find enough willpower to succeed. I wish I knew what the difference was between those two times. Okay, I gotta be right back. Gotta go get some leftover pizza out of the toaster oven. Be right back. Back again, and I forgot to get something to drink. I'll be right back. Big old jug of ice water. There we go. You know, of all the gifts that I could ask of God, if I could go back over my life and ask to start over with one thing, with one gift, like Solomon was offered, I would say I wouldn't ask for wisdom or knowledge or wealth or anything like that. I would ask for willpower. I feel like the cowardly lion, you know. Now, what did the cowardly lion want? He wanted courage. He wanted courage, and he was so without so without hope that he was willing to go all the way to see the wizard, just on a chance that the wizard could give him courage. And you got to figure, you figure what the cowardly lion went through before. That you had to know that every other person he met would, what would they have told him? They would have told him, as stop being such a coward. And they might as well have told him to sprout wings and fly off the top of a mountain, because he didn't know how to be brave. And maybe a little bit. Feel that it's a little too late in the day, you know. Like, I needed willpower decades ago. I needed. I needed willpower back when I was in college, back when I was in high school, back when I was still young and physically fit and I could do things. Back when my body hadn't started crapping out on me. I remember back when I was skinny. Oh, right up into my college years, I was fairly thin. Then I just ballooned up. I remember once I was like in my 30s, I was riding. You know, I was still riding riding around on my bike up to about 5 years ago. You know, getting from place to place. And I remember one day I was riding through town in West Charleston, West Virginia, South Charleston, West Virginia, and I saw my reflection in a store window. I was riding I had a nice 10 speed, just cruising along, and I caught a look at my reflection up, and uh, I looked like a I looked like a rotisserie gold chicken on a wire rack. That's what I looked like riding that bicycle. I looked like a butterball turkey on a wire rack. Just I knew I was fat, and I struggle with my weight. I struggled in dieting. I did. I took up biking and everything. And it just kept creeping upward. And about 2 or 3 years ago is when it all came. My last vestiges of hope came undone. Uh, Ended up in the hospital getting my gallbladder, 2 or 3 times into the hospital for surgery. First for a gallbladder, and then for a hernia, and then that and a couple emergency room trips for gastric attacks, and that was enough. That was enough to do in the last of my health. My legs ballooned up. My gut, just my weight took off. My legs ballooned up. And I used to be able to to jog at least once around this trailer park. But after that year, I can't even make it to the mailbox anymore. Not on foot. That's about the point I more or less quit job hunting and tried to concentrate on this, because anything I'm qualified to do, I can no longer physically do. I can't even stand for as long as every retail job requires. I've got to say this. What type of unmitigated bastard pays people minimum wage and won't even let them sit in a chair? Well, it was at the time. At the time that all those hospital trips, I was still working for that marketing company that did little food product displays, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't stand. They wouldn't even let me. They wouldn't even let me stand there with a cane. Unmitigated bastards. The job consisted of being in this little booth, handing out things on a toothpick, or handing out coupons or samples like that. You're just standing there, just doing that for like 6 hours. But some California twat They need to stand. They need to stand. They need. They had little old ladies working for them. Okay. Wouldn't let us use a. Wouldn't let we weren't even wouldn't let us sit in a chair. Wouldn't let us sit on a stool. Wouldn't let me use a cane to lean on. And my legs had already started swelling up pretty bad at that point. And after a couple of trips to the hospital, they gave me less and less hours every week, to the point where the trip into town to go to work was more of an expense than I was making back, just about. And I said, screw it. I'm not making. I didn't have any. I finally reached a point where I hadn't had any work all that week. And it wasn't looking like they were going to have any work for me next week either. I said, okay, I'm just going to turn in my apron, because I've reached a point where I can't do the job to their satisfaction. So, and they weren't going to give me, just they were giving me so few hours, it wasn't worth the gas I was spending to drive in. And I've been like this for about 2 years now. Well, a little bit over 2 years now. My online stuff is my effectively my only income. And there are conditions that I had. I had gallstones. And the edema in my legs. That would have hit me no matter what. But if I'd have had more willpower when I was younger, and taking better care of my body, maybe, if I'd have managed to control my weight and my diet better, and eat healthier, and I might not have been in such dire straits as I am in now. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Didn't, so I can't. Now the wolf has always been at the door, and now he's got friends. And I'm in no shape to fight him off anymore.
All right. Let's see. 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 Let's see
Just being quiet at the moment. Uh, kind of hurting. Kind of tired. Amiga Dragon. Let's see, we've got Amiga Dragon, Cartoon Glutton, Jonathan Kruger, Firebeard, and 3 others that are not named because they haven't spoken yet. I'm about a minute from lying down on the floor taking a nap because trying to figure out if I can extend this heat tent over my recliner, or maybe if I move my recliner closer or something. I don't know. Hello, it's Archangel Prime Ilcor. Well, Archangel, how you doing? Oh, the DVDs. I had to tweak the code a little bit. It turned out I had a problem with the images. The image formats of the newer images were about 5 times larger than the ones that of the older images. So I had to add a size modifier to the code. Just a few little odds and tweakments that have to be corrected, and I'll be burning the DVDs off and mailing them out to those who have already ordered. So, and to those who have made, who are on the Patreon list, who, yes, that's the thing is the Patreon. Let me see here. Let me pull up the Patreon page. There are donation. There are pledge levels. Let's see here. Patron settings. That's not what I was looking for. I really need a new picture for my profile. After let's see here. Okay, there's anybody who made a pledge of $20 or more gets a free copy each year of the annual archival DVD. Well, I really should add some more notes and stuff, but I'll work on that. I'll be working on that over the weekend, I think. It's I had 4 donors at the $20 level, but 2 of them there's some sort of glitch and their pledge is not going through for some reason. And I got 4 people in the general amount that they got declined too. Basically, it comes down to is that I've got pledges of over $300, but and about $100 worth of them are yeah, just a little bit under $100 of the pledges are not going through for some reason or other. I've emailed them, but no responses yet. But it happens. Can you hear me? Okay. Are not going through for some reason or other. Anyway, like I was saying, the point was I was bringing up is that if you I've got Patreon. I'm on Patreon. You go to my webpage. There's a little Patreon button. You can click on it and make a monthly pledge amount. If you pledge $20 or more, if you pledge, you get your name listed on the front page. There's a list on the front page of my sponsors. If you sponsor me for $20 or more each month, you get a free copy each year of the annual archive DVD with whatever notes and comments and so forth that I throw in there. Any little bits and bobs and pieces and stuff. So let's see it. It has been rough the past couple of days, and it's going to get worse. Temperature is supposed to get down to 9 degrees over the next couple of nights. I'm going to be a mummy. Sitting all hunched up like this is putting the hurt on me. About a minute, I'm going to be trying to lie down on the floor next to the heater. I have gas lines in this place. Problem is that over this, I had the gas disconnected about 2 years ago, and I finally got around. My finances started doing a little better, and first of all, I found out that there was a problem with my gas stove, so I had that disconnected. And then I found out that the gas lines in general, there was a leak somewhere in the gas lines. I said, oh crap, it's going to cost me a fortune to fix. And I asked the guy to come out and look at it, and he just looked at it, he said, I won't even bother charging because I can't do nothing with this. This is, the lines are no longer up to code. They've changed the code since they installed these gas lines. And as well as having a leak, they're illegal and unsafe. So I've got a gas heater for this place, but no gas and no gas lines. So I've been having to use electric to heat this place, and I've got an electric bill right now of $600. And I've got 200 in the bank. So I've got $200. I'm gonna be throwing the money at whoever, at whichever one starts yapping at me first. So, yeah, it's been a fun year. Ow, 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 there goes a knee. And, yeah, falling asleep in a swivel chair is not a good idea because you slump over and the chair will swivel, which means your upper torso goes one way and your legs go another. And I woke up, I've just about twisted my knee. Just twisted over to the side. Yeah. If by some miracle I ever get out of this mess, out of this life, this entrenched. Let's see here. It's just. Oh, ow. Anybody have anything they'd like to talk about? Any questions they'd like to ask? Anything they'd like to ask about the comics, about anything? Talk to me. Give me some feedback. Give me some love. Show me some love. Tell me I'm alive here. I don't know what Hasbro's Guardians of Harmony project is. I haven't seen anything about it. What is it? Let me look it up here. Let's see. My Little Pony exclusive. Well, this looks like they're listening to fan feedback here. I'm I'm wondering if the show is going to change in any way due to this. Okay, that is a Luna. I'm looking at. I'm looking at this here. I'm looking at this picture. They've got Princess Lizzie, but the other one is Nightmare Moon. Somebody didn't do their research before they did the article. Makes me wonder if they're going to have a spin-off show. Shadow boat pony with a bat wing chicken. Somebody did not do their research. This is very impressive, though. I like the style here. Let me turn on the camera here. Turn the camera over so you can see what I'm looking at. Zoom in a little bit. These are apparently the actual toys are done. Now, it's impressive. You know, they made their mains out of translucent, semi-transparent lucite. Look at that. That's Nightmare Moon. They got it listed as Luna here. That's Nightmare Moon. Pinkie Pie and the Party Cannon. Chainling. And it's a bat-winged chicken. That's what they got it described as here. Bat-winged chicken. Queen Chrysalis. And he's a tortoise. Rainbow Dash comes with a Wonderbolt goggles and airborne turtle. Check this out. Here we go. Here's Shining Armor, and this is apparently supposed to be the grown-up Spike. Well, My Little Pony is only supposed to get another season, one more season, season 6. And maybe they're planning on, I'm wondering if they're planning on a spin-off show. Something a little more action-y, adventure-y. And it looks like they're going to be, well, I don't know. Looks interesting. Let's see what they do with it in the show. I thought it was on, apparently, They moved the show from the Hub to Discovery Family Channel? Or is that the same channel? I don't know. Interesting. Hadn't heard anything about that till now. I'm out of the loop. Cyborgs and cybernetics. Well, eventually it'll come up, yeah. It's going to be a relatively minor point. Cybernetics and such are, they're really not as controversial as they used to be. Controversial concept. We live in a time right now where people are getting cybernetic implants, cochlear implants. Think about it. We got cochlear implants, insulin pumps, pacemakers, all sorts of digital. This is digital and mechanical. This is and that's. We're getting plugged in. We reached a point where people are making custom designed prosthetics, robotic prosthetics for people. And it was really cool. The guy that played Tony Stark, what's his name? There was a boy. He'd lost his arm, and as a special thing, they made a bionic arm for him, a prosthetic that looks like Iron Man's arm. Even has a light in the palm and everything. And the guy that played Tony Stark delivered it in its own little cool Tony Stark briefcase and everything. And it was really cool of him. Made that kid's day. That was kind of neat. I'll say something for the liberalization of Hollywood. It's made it very easy to distinguish the genuine people in Hollywood from the frauds. Generally speaking, when somebody in Hollywood does something charitable, it's like, yeah, right, they're doing it for the PR. But I see with the polarization that we're seeing in our society right now, between the left and the right, between conservatives and liberals, progressives and those of us left versus right, but those people who are just putting on a show of charity and compassion, they go out and do things like hug a tree for a TV show or crap like that, and it's become very obvious because if they're fake, they tend to do things that are left-wing motivated, symbolic and fairly empty. But when it's really, when it's somebody who's really genuine, it tends to be something that you'd expect only a conservative to do. The guy that played Samwise Gamgee on in The Lord of the Rings. Most people don't know this about him. He is a big supporter of the troops, and he has been ever ever since. And all the way back in the day, and he's not changed a thing, and he's very outspoken on their behalf. What I mean is, between the left and right, there's the you know I don't like what's his name? The comedian did Happy Gilmore. Uh, and did The Water Boy and Eight Crazy Nights and but when other celebrities are coming out disparaging the war effort, he came out and he came out there, told the troops, go out there, kick butt, come back safe. You can, we reach a point where it's a lot easier to tell the genuine, decent people from the ones who are just doing it for the cameras. Just in 2006, a Norwegian coach gave a ski pole to a Canadian, allowing her to go on to win a silver medal. Canadian citizens were so touched they collectively gave him 5.2 tons of maple syrup. Well, maybe at the next Olympics he'll help somebody from Belgium and he'll get some waffles to go with it. Brain in a jar stuff, yeah. I'll be blunt with you. If they offered me a robot body, I'd take it. This one hurts. This one aches. I don't think there'd be much difference between a full body prosthetic, brain in a jar, basically. I don't think there would be much ethical controversy or philosophical controversy. Uh, where people would start to hit slippery slopes is when they'd start replacing parts of the brain with cybernetics. People with epilepsy or who suffered seizures or who had learning, getting microchips implanted or embedded in the brain, or having people with brain damage having uh, portions of their brain tissue replaced because there was damage. That's where people would. That's well, what we're really talking about is that's where the unethical and immoral people of the world of the world would start trying to take advantage. They would, you get somebody who's had to have a portion of their brain rewired because they were, and they'll eventually some unethical, immoral relative will pop up. Great granddaddy's a brain and got microchips in his brain. He tried to get him declared brain dead, that kind of thing. At that point, in the Empire of the Separate Systems, the ethical approach would be obvious. They already have the Turing tests for robotic intelligences, for artificial intelligences. It would be a simple matter to apply those same tests to people with altered brain tissue. And say, okay, if a robot can pass this test and be declared a full legal citizen with all the rights thereof, then this guy over here who's got like a 50 gig drive implanted in his skull can take the same test and could fall under the same test and receive the same guarantees. The moral principle is if you're not sure, you err on the side of caution. The immoral premise is that is to take any fragment of doubt and use it as an excuse. This is why abortion is legal in our country, is because even though the judges outright said that they could not determine for themselves when at what point a fetus became a person. So they made it perfectly all right to kill an unborn child all the way up through all 9 months of pregnancy, which is the exact opposite of what they should have done. They should have said, you're firing a gun into a darkened room. Maybe you're not killing an unborn child. Maybe it's just a clump of tissue. But the moral consequences the horrible implications that you might be should be enough to say, no, we're not going to do that. And, but they went ahead and they legalized it, and every, the wicked always use the margin of doubt to advance their wickedness. That goes all the way right back to the original father of lies, the devil. I mean, think about what the serpent told Eve. Hath God truly said? Did God really say that? What you have to remember, when you're talking moral gray areas, there's a reason that we have absolute moral lines. Yes, those absolutely, at the end of the day, absolute moral lines are arbitrary. Declaring, at what age is somebody a legal adult? Some places say 21. Other places they'll say as low as 16. which is a mistake if you ask me. But they treat those date lines as absolute. People make fun of them for that. People make fun of the fact that those date lines are absolute. You know, the old joke: policeman comes up, he finds an older man with a younger girl in a car, parked in a car. They're just sitting there, hands folded in their lap, and he's looking at his watch. He says, and the policeman says, "What you doing?" He says, "We're waiting for midnight." And the guy says, "What happens at midnight?" He says, "Her birthday." But we still have those arbitrary lines. They have to be arbitrary. They have to be absolute in order to prevent that sort of moral creep. We can exercise circumstantial judgment. That's why we have trial by jury. That's why we have judges instead of calculators. But by and large, we have to maintain those standards, regardless of how quote unquote arbitrary they are, or especially because of how arbitrary they are, in order to prevent people trying to sneak their way across the gray line. You got people out there. There are people. It's human nature. They will do their best. If you lay down a boundary, they will stand on the very edge and hang their toes over the side, just to annoy you. Now, what you're saying about Ghost in the Shell standalone comic, you know what the problem with that is? The idea of hackable brains. I hate to break it to you, but we've been doing that for decades. We've been doing that for centuries. What do you think the phrase mind-altering chemicals means? We're never going to reach a point where we can plug in and erase portions of people's memories or things like that. But with a hacker-like precision, I don't think we're ever going to reach that point. But we have had people who have engaged in hypnosis and brainwashing and mind-altering chemicals. Every time you knock back a beer, you're screwing with your brain and its memories and perceptions. It's a crude hack, but it's still a hack. The idea that people would use computer chips to do the same thing, it's only an iteration of a possibility that already exists. Okay, I'll be right back.
Thank you. You you Thank you. You Thank you. You